All right, here I am at a couple of railroad crossings, both on Main Street and Dexter Street, both here in Milan, Michigan. Now these two crossings right here, since I decided to go ahead and go down to Milan for a bit and check them out, since they're basically right next to each other, and they also both have a very similar setup. So I'm gonna go ahead and tour both of them in this same video. So both of these crossings are rather neat ones with classic equipment owned by the Norfolk Southern Detroit District, which was a former old Wabash main line. And I assume that this crossing right here was probably an install from that era or even from before it, because this crossing right here, if you could tell already, features some really old, unique, I would say, and some somewhat rare stuff, I had to say, like actually kind of rare stuff. Now, although I have not gotten this in action, so my information may or may not be totally accurate, but I'm gonna go ahead and try the best I can. So with that said, I'll explain her as I go on, so let's get to it. So for the first signal, this has a Griswold cantilever. Yep, I found a few more of these old Griswold cantilevers. And here's the emergency information, the dot tag for, here's the emergency information, the dot tag for Dexter Street, and the dot number is 477358R. And if you look up here, there's an old Norfolk and Western dot tag. So this was definitely an old Norfolk and Western era install, like I'd say before Wabash took over the operations. Well, I think that's how it worked, or they just called this the old Wabash main line. But yeah, and for the mast lights, this has two pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights, all incandescent, as you can see, and all these are sitting on a Griswold light bracket. It's some pretty neat, really neat to see these still remain here. If you guys, if you Downriver Rail fans remember that back in the day, that the Vinewood Avenue Railroad crossing in Wyandotte used to have some of these, but those have been replaced, but they are still owned today by Rich Owens. And for the overhead lights, this has two more pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights sitting on a Safetran light bracket, all incandescent. And for the gate mechanism, this has a Safetran gate mechanism 2000s generation sitting on a Safetran base. And the gate features some Ricoh LED gate lights and a wind guard on this mast. And for a bell, which is on top of the gate mast, this has a General Signals electronic bell. I'm not sure of what type. It could be a Type 2 or a Type 1, or maybe a Type 3 even, since this line uses all three types of GSE bells. Now, I'm not exactly sure what gate mechanisms and bells this used to have in the past, because this crossing remained unchanged over the last like almost 20 years, which is great. And you can see some of the steps on the gate mast in case, you know, they need to replace the bell or something. Kind of cool. So yeah, that right there was the first signal. Really neat classic install. And I'm checking the signals, and we sadly have absolutely nothing. Well, then against the Detroit District, it's not the most active line in the world. So I guess with that said, here is the second signal at Dexter Street. So here's the second signal, which is similar to the first. This has another Griswold cantilever, and here's the emergency information once again. And if you look on the side, there's another old not Grand Trunk Western, Norfolk and Western dot tag. And for the mast lights, this has two more pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights, all incandescent, on a Griswold light bracket, as you can see, and you can see how they're mounted from the back. Now, if they were mounted from the top, that would make them the Griswold Type C 8-inch lights, but these are the classic Type Bs. And the overhead lights are the same, two more pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights on a Griswold light bracket. And for the gate mechanism, this has another Safetran gate mechanism, 2000s generation, sitting on a Safetran base. And the gate features some more Ricoh LED gate lights and a wind guard, or these could be incandescent. It's kind of hard to tell. Well, they do look kind of new, but then again, that doesn't really tell whether if they're incandescent or LED. So, yeah. And for the bell, this has another General Signals electronic bell, unknown of what type. Hopefully, I'll get these two crossings in action soon. Wow, definitely a really neat install here. I really hope that I could get this in action sometime soon, but I will be coming back to Milan whenever the Ann Arbor Railroad runs, since they do run through here. So that right there is all there is to show for Dexter Street. Here's the relay case. Well, there's actually only one relay case, so both of these crossings might actually run on one single approach and island circuit, which would be cool, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's Dexter Street. Now let's go ahead and check out Main Street, which is pretty much the same stuff, so let's get it. So yeah, here is Main Street. So to start, these both signals are pretty similar to Dexter Street. So for the first one, this has another Griswold cantilever. And here's the emergency information, the dot number for Main Street, and the dot number is 477359X. And if you look up here, there's another old Norfolk and Western dot tag, the paper style. And for the mast lights, this has two more pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights on a Griswold light bracket, with a Griswold light bracket. And for the overhead lights, has two more pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights on a Griswold light bracket once again. And for the gate mechanism, this has I would say another Safetran 2000s generation gate mechanism sitting on a Safetran base for the mast. And the gate features some Ricoh LED gate lights, I believe, and a wind guard on this mast, and also with some steps on the side on this gate mast. Once again, I would say. And for a bell, this has another General Signals electronic bell, either Type 1 or Type 2 or maybe Type 3. It looks a little older, so it might be a Type 2, if I had to guess. So yeah, I guess with that said, let's wait till the traffic clears to go on to the final signal of this entire setup. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so here's the final signal, which is similar to all the other ones. Once again, another Griswold cantilever. And here's the emergency information once again. And if you look up here, there's another old Norfolk and Western dot tag. Pretty neat stuff. Pretty neat to see this old Norfolk and Western install still remain here. Really, it really is really cool. And for the mast lights, this has two more pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights, all on a Griswold light bracket. And for the overhead lights, once again, two more pairs of Griswold Type B 8-inch lights, all sitting on a Griswold light bracket. And for the gate mechanism, once again, another Safetran gate mechanism, 2000s generation, sitting on a Safetran base for the mast. And the mast, once again, features some more steps, as well as NEG incandescent gate lights. Yep, these are, this time, this gate has some NEG incandescent gate lights and a wind guard on the mast. And for a bell, this has, once again, another General Signals electronic bell, completely unknown of what type, most likely Type 2. Now, there might be some videos of this crossing now on YouTube. I didn't look of this crossing in action, but hopefully someday I'll get this in action myself. So yeah, I guess that right there is all the equipment to show for both Main Street and Dexter Street. Like I said, that's the relay case for right there. And I believe these two crossings do run on one singular approach and island circuit, as I already mentioned. So yeah, I guess with all that said, let's go to take a look at the track view. So down there is heading west, right towards the downtown Milan. You can see there's the control point right there. And if you look down there, it heads towards another crossing at Wabash Street, where also where the Diamond crosses through as well, where the Ann Arbor Railroad runs right through. Pretty neat stuff. I might have to go there sometime. And down there is heading east, right towards another crossing at County Street, and eventually towards a few more crossings and a long straightaway. You can see Dexter Street right here, for instance, on how close both of these crossings are to each other. So yeah, I guess with all that said, this was my tour of both the Main Street and Dexter Street railroad crossings here in Milan, Michigan, both owned by the Norfolk Southern Detroit District. Really neat stuff. I'm definitely coming back here in sometime in the future to get these in action, but for now I have other plans, so I guess I'll leave it here for you guys. So I guess with all that said, over and out.